Well, we are committed to a federal Iraq, okay? And I think the Americans even have difficulty supporting that. Seems to me their policy is different. They say federal, but they support a very strong central government, have since Bremer. And really, I don't think, besides the Kurds, many other, shall we say, minorities have no trust in a strong central government. You know, they want federalism. Federalism will work here. It's a wonderfully homogeneous unit that you could make the government, you know, the protector of the others. But that's, in principle, the biggest obstacle that I think people mouth slogans about federalism, but they don't understand it. And in some cases, maybe they're afraid of it because they know that Kurdistan will get stronger. They know that some of the other regions will become stronger, you know. I mean, even Arab Shia regions and Arab Sunni region. And I think that's the way it's to go if it's to succeed. My opinion, I can't make policy.
Well, then in your opinion, do you believe that Maliki is going towards a more centralized government? And then will this more centralized government go back to the old Iraq, the one under a dictatorial regime?
Yeah, I think there are those that for sure up here feel that way. I think it appears that way. I remember, it's almost 2 years ago when they formed the government that Massoud, to his credit, sent 19 points to Maliki. He agreed to all of them except one, I think. The one that said the government would fall if the Kurds pulled out. All the others he said he would do. He hasn't done one of them. He hasn't started the work to call for a referendum in those areas that we call disputed, that the majority of Kurds live in. So I think they need to, you know, have people there that agree what they say they're going to agree, you know, carry it out.
There seems to be some strong dialogue on behalf of the Kurdish President Masoud Barzani towards the central government. There have been even calls for maybe a referendum to declare independence should Maliki not solve the crisis that's ongoing in Iraq. Is that the right
Well,
move?
I think they have had a referendum in the past. I think that surely all Kurds have a dream, and you know, I understand it, of a Kurdistan that they've been denied since 1918. But for me, well, first of all, I defer to Kak Massoud. He's a genius about that, and he's a patriot. But I would always say I'd rather see them a kingmaker within the context of an Iraqi state. You know, the Kurds could make things happen and make agreements that would help them. If they became independent, it may automatically create enemies for them all around them. And they are, after all, landlocked. Although now we have the greatest airport in the Middle East, it gives us access to the rest of the world. So it's not like it was in '91. It's much better. So, but I defer to him on that. He's smarter than I am about that.
But you personally, would you support a Kurdish call for independence?
Would I support it? Of course I would. But I would say I don't think it's really on the table right now. I think it's a dream that all of us have. But in this intermediate term, I wouldn't recommend it because I am fearful it won't work. I think it'll be a dangerous move, but you know, that's their call. Not me.
Do you see a maturing of Kurdish politics towards statehood when you compare how they reacted with their newfound freedoms in '91 and then again after the fall of Saddam in 2003?
Well, you know, I say they have matured very well. Hossein Sabari has done a wonderful job, in my opinion, in a very difficult position. While he's a Kurd, he represents Iraq, yeah, and that troubles some because he can't be over the top on Kurdish issues. I think, you know, if I were saying who matured, I would say the West. In '91, '92, because the Kurdistan region was not recognized as a sovereign state, that their diplomats or their politics, I think, were rudely treated, not properly treated. I mean, they weren't even received in the State Department. Well, now that the Western side, in my opinion, has matured, you know, and many, for example, the Turkish relationship is beautifully better now. A lot of it due to the economic reasons, but all the countries that are represented here with the consulates, the representative offices, reflect not necessarily maturing of the Kurdish leadership politically, but rather maturing of the Western governments that are represented here, that these are the right people, that they deserve our support.
There's been a lot of criticism of how the United States handled the war in Iraq, especially with the violence that followed. What could they have done differently?
Well, I think they could have followed our model that we had in '91, which was not to tear it all down. I am sure we had a plan to keep the Iraqi military. Jay Garner worked it with Kak Massoud and Mamzalal, that we would leave. I mean, they would vet the Iraqi army, all right? They would say those that are bad, have blood on their hands, we get rid of them. But the main group of Iraqi soldiers we would keep to do things, not necessarily to fight wars, but to guard ammunition dumps that were subsequently looted. And that ammunition became IEDs, as you know, and blowing up our own people. In the end, the Sunnis, the old majority party, had a feeling of disenfranchisement, and that was too bad, because not only did he disband the army, but he took the top 4 of the Ba'ath Party out, and all of them were not bad guys, all of them, but they were survivors. Yeah. So I would say that rather than, I would say the U.S. policy caused us to go from liberators to occupiers, and that is, for me, a disaster.
As a military man,
yes.
Who or what do you attribute the violence that continues to plague Iraq to, and how can these insurgent groups be combated? I
think first of all, the only way you can combat it, and the way it's handled up here, is you have to win, we used to say in the Vietnam era, the hearts and minds of the people. If you don't have the people on your side, the people who can tell you that, hey, there's somebody next door that doesn't belong, and they are maybe bad people, if they don't cooperate, then we won't have success. So you need, and in order to earn that respect from the people, you've got to provide services. They have got to be able to see that life is improving for them, that they have water, that they have in the very hot months of the summer electricity to run air conditioning, et cetera, et cetera. So they see, pardon me, that it's a better choice to support the government than to support the terrorists.
Has the troops' withdrawal and lack of a military American presence left a power vacuum?
I don't think so. You know, I too went through this in '91 when I thought, oh boy, you know. But I think in a way it does force all sides here, because they have to live together after all. And we can't stay here forever. We can't moderate. In some respects, our presence here kept that part of it immature. So once all the forces leave, it forces everybody to begin to negotiate more clearly with Iran, with Turkey. So it has a good and a bad side. I would have liked to see, and I still think it would a good idea to have an American presence here for training, that we wouldn't violate the SOFA, that they rotate in and out, you know, and just to keep everybody honest, all sides, you know, and show continued support for our brothers here in Kurdistan.
In the current state, do you think the Iraqi forces are capable of handling the volatility of the security situation?
I think they don't have the capability, you know, to defend themselves, all right? They don't have air defense. They don't have air power. And the Kurds don't either. So it's, right now, I'd say that we've left them a bit vulnerable, but I think we're in the process of repairing that, either by ourselves or someone else will provide military equipment and the training they need to protect their people.
There also, at times, there's lots of criticism of the US and what legacy they've left behind. In your opinion, with the removal of Saddam Hussein and his party, did Iraq become free?
Yeah, I think in the beginning it was well received, but unfortunately the aftermath was not handled well. So it wasn't pretty, wasn't ideal. And it took a long time, I think, for all Iraqis to feel that we had their interests at heart. Our interests here, as I think you can see now, was not oil, not in the south, But for the Kurds, whatever they do to make themselves stronger, we are for, I think. But not as official policy, but as Americans who have had the opportunity to work with Kurds, respect them and want them to succeed.
Politics aside, what are your thoughts on the economic boom that the Kurdistan region is enjoying?
It's unbelievable. It is a marvel, and to their credit, I salute them. They are, once again, earned my respect in every way. Yeah, I love them. It's something for other countries in the Middle East to look at, even for the rest of Iraq to look up here and see what democracy can bring if you treat people right, if you honor contracts correctly, and you have good government. What can happen? That's the beauty of it.
There's a great deal of focus, however, on the oil sector. What can be done to encourage investors to come in and invest in the other fields in the Kurdistan region so there isn't a one-product economy created here?
Right. I agree. Some say the model is Dubai, and I say no. I say, this used to be the breadbasket of the Middle East. So we're trying to do some things to renew agriculture, to provide other industries. That is true. I think in the next 20 years, water becomes more important up here than oil, in my opinion. So the things that we can do, the technology that we can bring or share from the U.S. to our friends in Kurdistan will help. We don't want to become totally dependent on oil.
And finally, you've known the Kurds for over 2 decades now.
Yes.
How would you describe them to someone who's unfamiliar with them?
I would describe them as a very courageous people who I admire very much. Proud to be associated with them.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching another issue of Inside Kurdistan Extra. Goodbye.